Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video, and you know what time it is. It's time for another cup of coffee. I'm on the last of our bag of Lavazza here. I had the Gran Aroma, beans, light roast on this one, but the next one that I'm going for is going to be this bag. So yeah, I know I had some Dunkin' in there. Gran, whatever this is, Selzione, how you say that, guys, from Italy. Dark roast next time, so looking forward to that one. Gonna have a little more punch for my mornings, but I'm wondering how you guys are doing, what you're up to, what you're flying. Make some comments down below. Let me know if you have a new build going or something like that, or you're excited about maybe a new release coming up. Today in this video, as always, we're checking out something new again. I'm charging up some 6S packs over there on the counter, and I've got a PAVO35 over here. So this is cool because a while back I reviewed the Geprc Cinewhoop. You guys remember this beast. So this one had dual purpose. This one could fly indoors, very slow by tilting the camera all the way down. It has nice kind of stage camera mount here for a full-size GoPro, or it has these mini groms here, which I love, which the PAVO35 does not have. So that's going to be one of the main differences as far as like stabilization for indoor videos goes. And this one is just built a lot lighter, so we don't have the camera staging here as much. We do have some extra spot here for a full-size GoPro mount, which you can absolutely do, which is cool. You can take up to about a 1550 6S pack on this one. You can fly this one indoors, again, by lowering the camera all the way down like this. When you go outside to fly some chase footage like motocross or mountain bike footage, you can bring this way up, and with a 6S battery, you're going to be able to catch pretty much anything out there. So these types of Cinewhoops are kind of, you know, the almost like the extreme sports style Cinewhoops. If you want to chase mountain bikes, snowboarding, whatever, this one with a GoPro will catch somebody going super fast. But let me show you on the scale real quick, and I don't know if you guys can see this on the GoPro now. I'll just let you know that this one's going to come in around 270 grams. This is with an ELRS receiver in the back. You can see a little mini Immortal T. 278 grams on the dot with the props and the strap, the ELRS receiver on the back, and then the Geprc Cinewhoop. I mean, look at this. We're at 305.1 grams with the props and the strap. Now, one thing I did notice about this one that I like is that it is heavier, but they also use a thicker strap. I know kind of the design reason behind the PAVO35 is to kind of slim things down versus the Cinewhoop. This is a lot lighter and a lot slimmer style build, so they did use a thinner strap here versus a thicker strap on the Cinewhoop. Now, time will tell as far as, like, you know, going into crash, will my battery eject off this thin strap? You know, I've flown full-size XT60 style batteries on these type of straps before. They work, but I'm kind of wondering if this strap is going to hold up in a really hard crash. It also has a super low profile antenna in the back right here. I've got full-on LEDs, and let me show you that real quick. This is awesome. So I'm just going to grab one of these batteries off here. We've got most of these charges completed. Got 4 6S batteries right there, and this is a 1400. This one does not have LEDs, by the way. Cinewhoop, no LEDs. This one, they plug in the back here, and we can plug in a battery, and I will show you those. What's kind of neat though is that earlier when I was playing around with this, the LEDs only come on when the quad arms. So I may have to take the radio real quick and show you guys how that works out. Oh, got the battery on there backwards. This is the other thing. I like the XT60 in the back versus the front. I'm just used to plugging in a battery in the back of the quad, and I don't like the battery kind of up at the front of the quad by the GoPro. Just kind of, if you have a little bit of tilt in your GoPro, it just puts extra things up against the backside of your GoPro, which I'm not a fan of. So if you're not running a GoPro and just running an O3, who cares? But let me go ahead and grab this transmitter here. Let's turn this on. And, you know, coming up in this flight test, we're going to fly it around the house. We're also going to fly it around outside. So just going to plug it in here, and this will be, you know, our first test. So hopefully I got the props on right. There's a little bit of snap there, a little bit of pop, so I don't know that there's any kind of anti-spark protection on that. So let's go ahead and show you the LEDs now, which I was going to show you. So as I turn and arm the quad, I flip that switch, turn that on, the LEDs should come on. So they didn't come on that time. That's very, very strange. Interesting. This thing was so lit up earlier. I don't know if they came loose or what the deal was, but maybe in a different mode. Nope, not coming on. What is up with that? I may have disabled them somehow in BetaFlight, but yeah, let's just do a quick little line of sight flight test inside the house. Plenty of power. Dog has already left the room. She's like, I don't want nothing to do with that. But it's looking pretty good for the exception of the LEDs. I have no idea why they're not working, but yeah, again, they might have got disabled inside BetaFlight, but I like the idea and the concept of this one because it's a lighter, kind of slimmed down version of the Cinewhoop 35. And again, like the Pavo series is doing pretty good. I think the build this morning to put my O3 in here probably took about maybe 45 minutes to an hour because it is quite narrow inside here, and you're gonna have your LED wires kind of, you want them to run out here and not on the inside of the prop guards, obviously. And in the front, I had to run my camera cable from my VTX down through here, and it actually snakes in between the XT60 mount right there, between those two wires. So and generally I wouldn't have that type of setup. I would, you know, it's kind of tight in here. It is a very low profile type of Cinewhoop, so you know, that's all just build things that I notice. Whereas on the Cinewhoop 35, they just come kind of jammed in between these two prop guards. And these prop guards are much thicker and they're actually much taller. So they're almost like ducks versus these. These are almost as thin as what we've seen on some of the smaller 2-inch style Cinewhoops from BetaFpv. So I like that these are much lower profile prop guards versus these much taller, more beastie ones. But time will tell as far as durability goes between these two, like which ones break first. But again, like $239 for the Cinewhoop itself, and then you can add whatever type of camera and VTX system you want on here. So you want to put a Cadex Vista on there, it's got room for that. You could also put an analog system on here, and they have 2 sets of motors on the website. I got the 6S setup motors, and my motors are the new Lava motors. They're 2006 series motors, 2400 kV, 4 bolts on the top, and I've got 3.5-inch gem fan props on here. Or that might be BetaFpv props. They did come in a BetaFpv pack, but once you get up to ELRS, that's going to get you a 249 TBS crossfire. Nano receiver on one of these will get you up to 269 plus your VTX and your camera setup. So, you know, depending on what you're trying to do with this, yeah, that's going to be totally up to the pilot. But it will have duality, like we talk about on the channel all the time. It has 2 types of flying styles. It will do freestyle, I say mild freestyle, and it'll also do some interior fly through type stuff. But you have to watch your power on that, bring your rates way down for interior flying. So you can set up a rate profile for inside if you're doing real estate stuff, and then you could tune it up for outside for freestyle fun. So if you wanted to use it as an acro trainer or something like that, that would be a lot of fun. But without further ado, guys, it's time for me to finish this cup of coffee. That's good. And then we will do some inside flying. After that, we'll go outside and do some flying in the backyard with a 6S 1300 from Tattoo. Here we go. Okay guys, let's go ahead and plug in a battery and let's get to some flying here. It's like my charger's still on over there. All right, I'm gonna set her down and let's see if she loads up inside the goggles. Make sure my goggles are turned on, which they are. Okay, here we go. All right, we're good to go. So let's do some flying, and we'll just talk about this quad while I'm flying. If I stop talking, it's probably because I'm like freaking out about how fast this thing is indoors. So it's not often that I fly 6S inside the house, but I do have the camera lowered all the way down. So I'm just gonna try to take it easy on the throttle. Any big throttle bumps with 6S indoors could put you into the ceiling, especially if you're brand new. So I don't recommend starting out flying 6S inside the house, but just for fun, we're gonna fly inside. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and press record on the goggles. And now we're recording. And let's do this before we drain any more battery here. So right away, yeah, it's definitely noisier, but look at this, how slow and smooth I can get. And this is with the stock rates. I mean, this is the stock rates out of the box. If I let go of the sticks, it kind of comes back to a stop a little bit, which is kind of cool. So right now I'm maintaining throttle, but I'm also like letting back off the right stick, and it'll kind of come to a hover. But yeah, we could go like from slow to fast with this. But it's super smooth. I'm not gonna make any gaps with this, but I can definitely fly like a regular line through the house. If I wanna go a little faster, I can speed it up a little bit. I really don't wanna like hit anything in here with this because it's gonna break something. The bigger they are, the harder they hit. Kind of leaning into those turns there. It feels like a race car. And I'm not touching the throttle a whole lot. Like I'm like literally pretty much leaving the throttle probably about mid stick. Really leaning into those turns a little bit. It's like PlayStation. But it flies beautiful, and it's about what I expected. It's definitely going to be more of a quad that you could use. Whoa. So that's an example of what happens when you hit something. So this quad's probably a little more doable for an interior fly-through type of quad. So if you're a real estate person, you already know how to fly FPV, you could do it with this one. And you could do some pretty cool shots. And it will blow stuff off a table. But they say we're gonna get a pretty long flight time with this quad. I mean, this may be a 10-minute flight on this quad. Like, you could probably get 8 to 10 minutes out of one of these, like say 6S 1400 batteries. That's a good thing about 6S, a little longer flight time, quite a bit of power on these motors. I wouldn't say it's exactly like a 5-inch Freestyle quad, but it's gonna be pretty close to it. So let's go ahead and land, and let's go outside now. Let's fly outside, and let me show you what this one's all about for some outside flying. Let me go try to land on the table. There we go. Yeah, and like I said, stuff will blow up, blow up off the surface of like the table or wherever you're flying and coming in for landing. So papers and things like that, if you're a real estate person, clean all that stuff up before you do your interior fly through. Let's go outside now, and let's see how it flies before it rains. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to the outside flight test. We're gonna go ahead and fly a 6S 1300 pack on here, and we'll see how it does in the backyard. A little more camera tilt outside, not a lot, because I really don't want to fly into the neighbor's yard because this thing it's gonna be crazy fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in now. And by the way, I figured out why the LEDs weren't working, because I disabled them inside the modes tab. BetaFpv had them set up to user switch, and when you arm, that was on the same switch as auxiliary 1, so they had that tab go over like that, and it would turn on the LEDs when you arm the quad. So from the factory, that's how yours is going to work, just to let you know. So let's go ahead now and let's make sure we're recording in the goggles. And it's probably like 35 degrees out here today, so I'm not expecting the world here. But wow, it flies great outside. Feels good. Almost hit a few things already. I can tell this quad wants a lot of speed, so for people who are looking for something that's gonna like really kind of like chase somebody with a motocross bike or like downhill mountain biking, absolutely. So let's come up a little bit. Let's get into acro mode now. I'm gonna do a little tree dive with this. What the hell? Let's just go up and do that. Neighbors are over here blowing their lawn, but it's not doing any flight controller freak out. That's good news. But it feels good. Let's go for a power loop. What the hell? Wow, way up there. Plenty of smooth power though, like, wow, it really wants to rip. You can tell this thing wants to take off. The neighbor's probably wondering what the hell's going on. If you live next to me though, you know there's always flying something in the backyard. But I can't imagine being somebody next door and seeing this thing flying around, not knowing about Freestyle. So yeah, it's pretty flowy. I feel like it has some flow to it. And you know, I hope you guys like appreciate these type of reviews, because it is from like a pilot's perspective. Like, I've been a pilot for a long time, and that's just the kind of review that I would like to watch myself. I try to make the type of reviews that I'd like to see myself. All right, I stuck. Oh, I almost got out of that. I do have turtle mode. Should we try turtle mode? Whoa! It just ate the crap out of some leaves. So, okay. Oh, maybe it is possible that hopefully I didn't burn up an ESC. Let's go check it out. All right, so let's go ahead and let's plug in, take off again. Our trusty Radio Master Boxer Max, which is my all-time favorite radio, just been upgraded to the 9s with the gold anodized aluminum. Let's see, let me go ahead and try to connect. Yeah, it's an awesome radio. Okay, here we go. We're gonna take off again. And right now I am in stabilize mode. So I'm just gonna make some lines around the yard. Let's like take it easy here. The leaves are kind of wet, but the power of this quad will blow the leaves up onto the lens. I've already had a few leaves kind of like come up off the ground and smack right on the front of this camera and just stick to it. So right here, it's kind of tight for a 3.5. Trying to make my way out of there. Just luckily made it out of there. Let's look for a line here where we can go through this tree. Oh, tagged a little tiny twig. But you know, this quad really wants to go. Like, oh boy, I just stuck to the trampoline. Okay, so I still have some voltage left here, and I think that we can get 8 minutes out of this quad for sure. Lens looks good. Let's go ahead and take off again. Make sure I'm recording. Press and record. And here we go. You know, it does say we're at like 22.6, but that's on a load. So I could, you know, I could go down a little more, maybe a few more minutes. I feel, yeah, we can get 8 minutes out of this quad with a 6S 1300. So they're not lying that you guys can get 8 minutes out of this quad. Now like 12 and 13 minute range, you might have to use like a 1550 6S. But if you're using a GoPro, I would suggest using something like a 6S, like 1500 or so. Man, I really want to rip and do like a split S over these trees. I just really don't want to like break the prop guards today. But we have crashed several times, and I didn't break any prop guards, so that's pretty good. It's flying smooth. Slow, controlled. Outside. Say hi to the chickens. And man, I really don't like crashing in the chicken coop. Chicken shit on a quad is not at all a good thing. Oh my God. I was just sucking up all kinds of hay. So we're still going. I have a little bit more battery, but this has been fun. It's smooth. It's slow enough to fly inside if you're already kind of an intermediate pilot. You can get away with it. And then outside, this thing just really wants to rip and go fast. Like that's where these 6S motors, like really pretty awesome. Try to land on this table right here. Okay, I'm gonna spin around. There's another leaf. Get off there. So, one thing's for sure about this quad is that it has a lot of prop wash underneath the quad, and when you get close to the ground on a day like today when the yard's covered in leaves, it's gonna blow leaves everywhere. And expect one to be on the front of your camera like mine was. So let's go ahead inside now and let's check this one out on the bench one last time, and I'll give you my final opinion about this one and maybe some changes that BetaFpv can make on, say, the PAVO35 V2. What I'd like to see coming up. But for now, this is the newest Pavo and the biggest one of the whole series. All right, guys, welcome back inside to the kitchen counter. Yeah, nothing flashy on this channel right now. Like, I'm not doing a whole bunch of colored lighting backdrops and my full studio setup, if you guys have kind of seen in the past. We've been trying this kind of new format where I'm just kind of like doing it from a regular pilot's perspective. Like, I don't need a bunch of flashy editing and all that stuff. So let me know down in the comments below which style you guys like. You want a shorter, flashier video? You want a shorter video with no flash? Flash meaning like crazy, cool edit cuts and all that stuff. But there's a fine line between like, it kind of a review looking like an advertisement, looking like a feature film, and then kind of just being like a regular guy's review. So I'm a regular guy just like all you guys. I just get a lot of toys to play with. So I'm fortunate in that aspect. And one of the reasons that I started actually doing reviews, one of my first FPV reviews was a VTX. It was only a VTX, and then I got a bunch of toy drones for years until they started to create more FPV frames back like in 2014. And it's funny because like my friends made fun of me when I first started. Man, why do you want to review all that toy trash and drones and stuff? Just because I was having fun. And eventually it was awesome because it was a way that I could still fly as a pilot these types of things and not have to do like tons of transactions on my credit card, because I was spending like 10 grand a year on RC, planes, helicopters, multi-rotors. Like, I'm as addicted to this as some of you guys, not all of you, and some of you guys have some limit on your budget when it comes to RC. But at that time, for me, that previous 10 years before I started this YouTube channel, I had no limit on my RC budget. I was just going like and filling up one house and another. Like, I love RC. But I know that was kind of a long-winded story. I apologize about that. But I just want to know how you guys feel about what you feel most comfortable for the channel. So If you like this format, give us a thumbs up for that. And this can be a more laid back style video, and as far as the information goes, it's less like cut. You know, I'm not like F722 FC ESCs, 35 amp ESCs. That's what we have on here. We have an AIO 35 amp ESC with F722 flight controller. So that's why it flew so great around the yard, and I was feeling the lines, and even inside the house it was like nice and flowy. But I really didn't feel the flow until I got outside and started making those lines around the backyard. This quad, absolutely, like if you're one of those guys who has friends at like a drift track, something like that, like race cars, it'll do drift race footage. You can put your GoPro on the front right here and absolutely chase race cars with this. This would be a fast quad. 3.5 inch Cinewhoop is going to be the fastest in this category. So if you're seeing this for the first time, you're wondering like what even a Cinewhoop is. It's just pretty much a unibody style carbon plate with inverted motors a lot of times, because that makes them smoother. There's not as much prop wash around the frame. But this one was built, again, like lighter than the Cinelog 30. So if you want something like absolutely lighter than the way Geprc built this one, you know, you can go back and look at the footage again, and you know, you can compare my review of the Cinelog 35 to BetaFpv's PAVO35 and see like what footage do you think looks better. But at the end of the day, with the DJI O3 and Rocksteady 2.0 footage, you're going to come back with like almost identical type of footage. And what it comes down to at that point is which power to weight ratio you're looking for. If you're, you know, they did some things here by streamlining this down, using smaller power system on here. These are 2006 series motors, the new lava motors on this one, and they feel good. They feel like they have 10:1 power ratio. It's just under that, but these are 2105. 2105.5 motors that can run on 6S. So these are a little bigger, and they use a little different style of propeller. Geprc uses more of a straighter, wide chord, kind of bull nose edge on these standard Cinewhoop style props. And these are a little different. They remind me of the Gem Fan style props that have a little bit of curve to it, wide chord, more narrow in the center, and that bull-nosed edge on the end, to get right up to flush with the edge of the prop guards. So both style props for me, they worked out great. I can't at this point, you know, tell you which one's going to be smoother, but some things about this design, again, that I would like to see better in the PAVO35 V2 would be maybe like more mini groms up here for the camera. That would be super nice. This is going to be nice and durable. There's only 2 bolts holding on this camera here. 1 bolt for each hanger for the camera, but there are mini groms on the camera staging here for your GoPro mount. And it's nice that they do give you a GoPro mount in the box. I do also like the fact that Geprc on the Cinelog 35 put their mount in the back. I mentioned that to you before, and you know, if you're skipping ahead, I don't know if you saw that information, heard that information, but their mount is in the back where I like it to be. And this one also has GPS on board, which this one has no GPS. But this is the mount. It goes on, which way does it go? Like this. 2 bolts go through here, 2 through here, so you have a total of 4 bolts, and that's a full-size GoPro mount. So with the power that I was flying around the backyard, I have to tell you, like, yeah, you'll have no problem, you know, being able to tote a GoPro. It's gonna tote a GoPro all day. That's not gonna be a problem at all. But what I want to do real quick is just open up BetaFlight for you guys, and I want to hook up the cable, and I want to put that that setting back on the user setup like they had for the LEDs, and just see if I can get those to turn on for you real quick. One thing that I'm not keen on is the room in here to get to the micro USB port. It's super tight, and I may even have to just I might have to take a prop off to get to this port. Right now it's like crammed full of grass, but we'll see if we can get in there. Yeah, we can get in there. Okay, good. So I'm there, and now I'm inside Betaflight. Just put the laptop right here so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to go back to modes. So if you're kind of wondering where it is that you turn on the LEDs, I'm going to show you, see if I can find it again. So right here, range, user 1, we're going to go to auxiliary 1. And you know what we can do? We can just, if you scooch that bar all the way over, they'll just turn on when you plug the quad in, or you can scoot it over here to only turn on when you arm the quad on the same aux channel as your arm switch. So if you want to do it like that, or you just want to have them on all the time, I'm just going to put it on to all the time when it's plugged in. Save, disconnect, and now let's go ahead and again and try to turn it on. I'm just going to turn on my radio so it doesn't do any funny business on me. I'm going to take this out of there, and let's plug in this battery. Make sure we're not armed here. Okay. And now, look at that. Isn't that cool? This thing is, I mean, this is beautiful. That's really nice. That's pretty cool. A lot of times I don't fly with LEDs just because I don't want to attract the Karens. But for people who fly, like if you went to walk up to this and find it in the grass, it wouldn't be a problem because this thing is, you could find it at night or day. It's so bright, and you can get these in different colors. And all they do is they plug in on the bottom right here. So you just snake your wire out. I use a zip tie right here to make sure it doesn't go into the props. And I also used a zip tie for my O3 camera right here. So I recommend doing that. There's one, actually I have it tucked here, and then it's zip tied to the front. So that, I don't want my O3 camera cable getting smashed or cut in half by these 3.5 props. And the 3.5 inch, if you guys remember on the Cinewhoop a while back, that's the one that chopped the end of my pinky off. So, you know, these motors are super duper powerful. Just be careful on the bench playing around with stuff. But that is the LED setup, and I'm glad I could show you that before we end this review. But yeah, it's a good quad. It's one of those that you can get and build up. It doesn't, I don't see that they offer it in a bind and fly. If I can find the bind and fly version for you, you know, if they're making that, I'll put a link in this video description. And if you want to buy one and build one up, you can check out my link. It's PNP version, again, $239. TBS is $269. ELRS version is $249. So at the end of the day, you know, if you put O3 on here, you're probably going to be in the similar range price point as a Cinewhoop 35, around $400 to $500 when you get it all said and done with an O3. If you're going to add analog on there, you'll be able to do it much cheaper. And if you're an intermediate person with a bunch of VTXs sitting around, just slap another camera and VTX on here, and plenty of room on the bottom underneath this 4-bolt release carbon plate right here, and you can VHB down your VTX, whichever one you want to put down here. So plenty of room for, you know, O3, CADX Vista, Walk Snail, and there's even mounting points here, which I didn't use. But you have 20 by 20 set up there and a 30 by 30 mounting point setup. So that's pretty cool. A lot of options with these. Cinewhoops are fun. So if you like the channel and you like my reviews, please do subscribe and come hang out with us again. We hope to have our event sometime coming up in December for FPV West. We also do live events. So if you want to come fly with us and meet me and make some friends in the community in the local Pacific Northwest region, and man, it's a ton of fun. You guys would have a ball. It is absolutely awesome. But I appreciate you guys for watching, hanging out, and supporting the channel by clicking on our link. As always, I'm not shy about saying that, you know, we do, we live off our links and YouTube revenue, and it's hard to make a living just doing YouTube. So I want to say the guys that are supporting me, I appreciate every single one of you, and on Patreon as well. Thank you so much. Guys, take care, and I'm gonna finish my last cup of coffee. It's been fun flying with you. I'll see you on the next one.